You're watching Shalom TV, celebrating Jewish culture. Funding for Shalom TV has been provided by the following. And by viewers like you.
Jewish Education in Media is pleased to present L'chaim, a program that highlights the people, issues, and events of importance to the Jewish community. Now here is your host, Rabbi Mark Golub.
I'm Mark Golub, and today I have an extraordinary privilege and honor of sitting with the Senior Vice Prime Minister of the State of Israel, the Honorable Silvan Shalom. It is such an honor to sit with you, and I appreciate the graciousness and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you very much for having me in your show. I feel privileged.
Thank you. Sir, all I really want to do is express to you some of the concerns that one hears in the American Jewish community, the American community also, but I'm more concerned now about the concerns we hear in the American Jewish community among supporters of Israel. And I deal with all kinds of people, and not everybody is a supporter, but I'm more concerned with their hearing you address the issues that concern people who care deeply about the well-being and the future of the State of Israel. And they fall into a couple of categories. The first has to deal with whether the Israeli action that was taken against the Flotilla, in which 9 Turkish citizens were killed, was it a mistake in some way by the State of Israel? What we have heard is that the Israelis knew there was going to be a riot on board, that they came armed with these paint guns. And what American Jews are asking is, was this simply some kind of error on Israel's part, an error of judgment? It's not about morality or legality. You don't hear that questioned. But the question is one of tactics and strategy. And so I ask you to comment from your perspective on that aspect of the event.
What we have done was the right thing to do, first. Second, we thought that we should do it without any casualties. Unfortunately, there were those tourists that were hired to go there and were paid by $10,000 each in order to come on board. And while we went down, we found them as terrorists and not as a peace activist. There is a very big change between the last Irish ship named Rachel Corrie that arrived, that were with peace activists, and when the Israeli soldiers arrived, they didn't fight back, and those who came in purpose to fight back if Israel would try to stop them. So now it's well known that no one can get in. That's what it should be done. From now on, all of those that are trying to come would know that Israel would take the products to give it to the Gazans, but wouldn't let them to get in. I think it might stop the others from coming. About the situation in the international community, it's not so easy these days. We, of course, need the support of the United States. We need the support of the American jury. We need the support of everyone that is in favor of Israel to realize that what we are doing is a self-defense, and not just like that we have decided to shoot those 9 Turks. More than that, the fact that those soldiers came with paint guns shows that we didn't have any meaning to shoot them. Only while the others that join and find out their friends are under risk or life risk, then they shoot them in order to save the life of the Israelis. You have to remember the 9 were wounded, some of them very seriously injured.
Israelis?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And some of them were stabbed, and some of them are still in hospitals. So what we are trying to do is to say very clear, we will do everything we can to help the Palestinians. I am, as a Minister for Regional Cooperation, can tell you that the growth in the Palestinian territory last year in 2009 was almost 10%, while most of the world faced negative growth or close to 0. And I'm sure that if the Palestinians would like to get any kind of engagement with Israel, we are there in order to do it.
I'm at a meeting last night of again, American Jews who care about Israel. And what they're saying to me is, Israel knows so much about how to handle different situations. If they knew there were going to be terrorists on board with knives and rods and electric saws, then why didn't they come down with tear gas? Why didn't they in some way immobilize the people on board? Maybe they shouldn't have even boarded the boat. Maybe they should have kept it at sea and not let it move. But they should not have put themselves in a position where they ultimately were going to be fighting for their lives. And as I said to them last night, if that was my son Ari on board as an Israeli SEAL who lands on this boat, and somebody comes at my son with a crowbar, I want him to shoot that guy right between the eyes. But why did Israel let itself be put in that position is what these American Jews are asking me. Is there any answer?
Yeah, I think that we had maybe lack of information, and we have to admit that some of the information that we got was that all of them would be, let's say, non-violent. Maybe they will tie themselves to the ship in order to, to make it more difficult for us to bring them down. You have to know that the other 5 ships, everything went very good, very well, because there were no terrorists on those ships. And there were no rejection, and they didn't fight back. There were only on that Turkish ship that they were full with those terrorists that were hired to come. To tell you that we loved those pictures that we saw about what they did to the soldiers, we didn't like it at all. But from now on, of course, we have to take some moves in order to get prepared for the next time and to do it in much better way. And I think that what we did in the next Irish ship, Rachel Corrie, was much better than it was before, because we understood that it might be different, and it was well understood that we have to do it in a different way. 9 people got killed. We said we are very sorry for that.
I know.
We said that we are very sorry for loss of every life, and we didn't want it to be happen. But while it happened, we have to make sure that we will be prepared for the next time, and we would like to make sure that there won't be more ships that will try to get in. We are not against the Gazans, but we know that like they built a front base of Iran in the northern part of Israel, they would like to do it in the southern part of Israel, and we are not going to enable the Iranians to do it. And all of the international community should understand and not be so hypocrite about Israel, while they are not dealing about what's going on in any other place in the world, about that Human Rights Committee in the UN in Geneva, 33 resolutions among 40 that they had since the establishment of that committee is about Israel.
So we go to a second issue. There are American Jews who understand exactly why Israel is trying to blockade any arms or materials that can be used to build bunkers.
Dual use.
Yes. What they don't understand is why Israel has chosen to also blockade what seems to be goods that have nothing to do with defense. And whether you're listening to Charlie Rose or this guy Bernard, whether it's notebooks and blank paper and writing utensils and chocolate and fishing rods, and Bernard goes on television and says the Israeli agricultural lobby has a great deal to say about what goods are permitted through by the state of Israel, as if Israel is purposely trying to create a hell of a situation for human beings. And the word that's used in English is collective punishment. That Israel is guilty of inflicting collective punishment on the Gazans. What's your comment?
It looks like they are starving to death there. Not at all. They are having all kinds of products that they have, and if they don't have chocolate, so they should know that Gilad Shalit, for years, didn't see the light of the sun. So with all the respect, if they think that they can behave like nothing happening, while Gilad Shalit is still arrested there, while the Red Cross has no way to visit him and to find out that he's fine, and they will continue with their lives like they can go do it forever. We took a decision to disengage from Gaza. We withdrew fully from Gaza until the last inch. They took it as an advantage to bring Gaza to become a base that from there they will attack Israel. While we withdrew from Gaza, we said that we want to disengage. We don't want to be in any touch with the Gazans. But what's going on there, that they are asking us to bring all the products from the Israeli side, not from the Egyptian side. We are giving them all the electricity while they are firing missiles and rockets in order to target the power station that produces the electricity that is given to them. And listen, it can't be like that forever. We want to disengage. There is no way for us to enable them to continue to act like they are acting. They are firing rockets and missiles on a daily basis to Israel. They are still holding Gilad Shalit, and they will live there like in heaven. I don't think this is the right way to look at it. They are having all the products that are needed. They are having all the materials that are needed. Only those that are for dual use, we are not giving it to them. But even though, I would like to tell you that recently they exported strawberries and flowers and many other things. It's not only products in, but they are exporting out, and it's not well known. They can take everything that is missing, like chocolate and all the others from the Egyptian side. Ask the Egyptians to open the gate there and to bring all of those chocolates that are missing there.
Okay. Are you suggesting, therefore, that Israel in some way wants to punish the Gazan people, for example, for their refusal to force Hamas to give up Gilad Shalit?
We are not punishing the Gazans. We don't have anything with the Gazans in conflict or with the Palestinians as a whole. That's why we are building industrial zones. We are having many common projects in Judea and Samaria, and we are doing very great. Even with the Gazans, tens of trucks are coming every day, full of goods, full of products, even that we have decided to disengage. Why we have to do it from the Israeli side, not from the Egyptian side? Why we have to do it from the Israeli side?
But my understanding is that a truck pulls up and there's chocolate on it, and the Israelis say, take the chocolate off. Now, I know it seems silly to you, but to the American ear, it makes no sense.
Okay, for the American ear, it makes sense that they can't bring the chocolates from the Egyptian side. First, for the American ear, it makes sense that Gilad Shalit is 4 years there and no one can visit him.
No, so, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Relations are always based on reciprocity. And if it would have been based on a mutual understanding, believe me, there would be no problem to bring everything they want. While they are doing it in totally different way. They are firing rockets toward Israel, firing missiles toward Israel in order to target innocent Israeli civilians. While they are keeping Gilad Shalit, they have to understand that it might be different.
Okay. I just want you to understand that the answer you give must make sense within an Israeli context. It doesn't make sense within an American context.
I think it makes sense with everyone that has a logical view or an understanding about what's going on. The good guy is Israel. The bad guy is the Hamas.
Of course.
So it's not. We can't change, the whole situation and moving the Israeli side to become the bad guy. We are the good guy. We are trying to do everything we can. We withdrew fully until the last inch. We don't want Gaza. Give Gaza to the Gazans. Give it back to Egypt. Do everything you want. You have your brothers from the Egyptian side. Do it with them. What you want from us?
Is it true Israelis will not permit students from Gaza to go study on the West Bank?
No way, it's nonsense.
That's nonsense.
Okay. They are doing there, thousands of them. Not all of them are accepted by the Egyptians, but everyone that would like to go to study can do it.
Can go to the West Bank to study?
No, not to the West Bank.
Why not?
To Egypt, I said.
Why not to West Bank?
You have to ask the Palestinian Authority, not us.
You're not stopping them from going?
I don't think we are stopping them, and if they would like to go there, you have to ask the Palestinian Authority if they would like to have, some members of Hamas that are joining the West Bank.
Okay, one more area here. We have suddenly seen what most American Jews find hideous, this suggestion within the American administration that somehow what Israel is doing, whether it's in Gaza or whether it's with the settlements or whether it's dragging its feet, says some Americans, on the peace process, is now hurting American interest, and that Israel is guilty now of somehow, whether it's a General Petraeus saying it, or whether it's Anthony Kortesman, who just wrote a piece that Israel is a strategic liability to the United States. There is some suggestion now that Israeli policy is injuring American interests. What would you say?
I would say it's nonsense. Israel is the only asset, strategic asset, that the United States has in the Middle East. All the others can change their loyalty in 1 minute from the United States to the others. We can look at Turkey now. They are now moving toward Iran. And all the other Arab countries that they really believe that they are their friends, they can move immediately to the other side in 1 minute just like that. Only Israel is the one that will never betray the United States, will be forever a good friend of the United States, as it was until recently. And I would like all of those to know that the only strategic asset that the United States has in the Middle East is Israel. The Middle East is very important geographically, militarily, politically, economically, and the interests of the United States are kept there in the Middle East only because Israel is there and is helping the United States to keep it. Otherwise, it could have bring all the other Arab countries to move to the ends of the enemies of the United States in 1 minute.
Do you have any problem now with the Obama administration?
We, of course, would like to find any administration to become supportive as much as he can. We believe that President Obama and Hillary Clinton are good friends of Israel. While I was the foreign minister of Israel and I met with them several times, I can tell you that their record in the Senate about voting in Israeli issues was 100% in favor. So I didn't find them voting against Israel. And I would like to believe that some misunderstanding that we had until recently, we are trying to work it out. We are trying to do everything we can in order to overcome those difficulties. And I would like to believe that finally the support toward Israel based on bipartisan support, and it's based about common values that we share, like democracy, human rights, rule of law. And I think that together we can take the move forward in order to bring the Palestinians in, to resume the negotiations on one end, on the other end, to bring the moderate Arab countries to become much stronger than they are now, all of us together in our fight against Iran.
Comment on one difference in perception again. I've said to you, Americans, Jews often see it differently than Israelis. And I've heard Israelis say this to me, and I want you to tell me whether you agree. Sometimes American Jews, and Americans in general, want to impose a Western mentality upon a Middle East problem. And that Israelis have said to me, one of the handicaps we must live with is that the Arab world understands only one thing, power. And that when Israel does something that seems to be a concession, although it looks good to the West, it is often interpreted by the Palestinian and Arab world as a sign of weakness. And this puts Israel in a very difficult situation, where it must not look weak, even if it must do things at times which in a Western framework wouldn't be done. To what extent is that, in fact, a handicap, a truth that the Israelis live with?
I think it's very well understood that our standards are not the standards of our neighbors. We are coming with the Western way of thinking, and they have their different way of thinking. While the Israeli government signed the Oslo Accords, it was a move toward peace. It brought Arafat to the region, and with him, it brought the phenomena of suicide bombers and terrorist attacks against innocent Israeli civilians. While we withdrew fully from Lebanon, it brought the Hezbollah to become much stronger. And of course, it brought the intifada of the Palestinians short time after the withdrawal from Gaza, because they found out, from Lebanon, because they found out that after the Lebanese were fighting back and Israel was forced, as they saw it, to withdraw from Lebanon, that they should take the same move and to force Israel to withdraw. So we had the second intifada. While we disengaged from Gaza, they found Israel once again, as they see it, as the Israeli weakness, and they started fighting back. They implemented the coup against Abu Mazen there in Gaza, took power, and since then launched thousands of rockets and missiles toward Israel, while they believe that Israel cannot fight back. So while we are asked all the time to implement the Western standards and to come with the Western moral, in the other side, unfortunately, they look at that as for them shows them the Israeli weakness, and they are trying to do much more than they have done before in order to go into the same track to force Israel to take some moves that Israel doesn't want to take. What I would like to say is that we are going to keep those standards because we are human beings, because we are Jews, and the Jewish moral and Jewish standards are very well known, and we are going to keep them because first we are human beings, and we are not going to treat our enemies in the same way that they are treated us. Look at Gilad Shalit, that is there 4 years in jail without any option to even visit him, and those terrorists of the Hamas, that all of them are murderers, or most of them are murderers, that murder innocent Israeli civilians, babies and children and women and old people, and they are having cables in their TV, they are having a library full of books, they are having everything they want, while we can see how it goes there in Gaza. We are not going to change it. We are keeping the same standards. We believe that we are different from them, but in the same time, when it comes to self-defense, we are going to do everything we can in order to protect the safety and the interest of the people of the State of Israel.
Senior Vice Prime Minister Shalom, you say it so beautifully. We have only scratched the surface. We have to end now. It is my hope on some other visit you'll be willing to sit with me again, and we'll continue to, sort of grapple with these issues that are of concern to everyone who cares about Israel. At some point, the public must understand that despite Israel's military might, it is still the underdog, and that it deserves as much support from America, from American Jewry, and from across the board people of conscience. And it is my hope that the more people like you get to speak, the more we'll be able to understand it.
Thank you, Mark, for having me. I liked it a lot. I would love to come once again. And I would like, of course, that all the American Jewry will support the State of Israel like it was for decades since the establishment of the State of Israel. And I would like to believe that even the difficulties that we are facing now with our friends, the Americans, it's only difficulties among friends. And among friends, sometimes you can agree to disagree. And you can, find the ways how to make it better for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And that was our meeting with the Senior Vice Prime Minister of Israel, Silvan. Shalom. As always, I invite you to be in touch with me with any thoughts or comments you may have to the ideas expressed by him in this discussion. And if you'd like to be in touch with Senior Vice Prime Minister Shalom, you can do so by emailing me, and we will forward your emails on to him. So please be in touch with me this week. Until the next time, I'm Mark Golub. Be well, my friends.
L'chaim is a presentation of Jewish education in media.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who can send a tax-deductible contribution of $36 or more to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media to help support our programming. Tax-deductible checks may be made out to GEM and mailed to GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. Please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD, and we thank you for your kind support.